Good afternoon, everyone. In the program that my name is there, supposed to be giving Dhamma talk. I have chosen the topic is Kaya Anupassana. Kaya Anupassana. You know, in Satipatthana Sutta, the four foundation of mindfulness. I explain in the Satipatthana Sutta. These four foundations of mindfulness are Kaya Anupassana, contemplation of the body in the body. Vedana Anupassana, contemplation of feeling in the feeling. Citta Anupassana, contemplation of the consciousness in the consciousness. Contemplation of the Dhamma in the Dhamma. Dhamma Anupassana. So I have selected one of these four subjects, Kaya Anupassana. Kaya Anupassana means contemplation of the body. There is a particular discourse, Kaya Gata Sati Sutta. Kaya Gata Sati Sutta is in the Majjhima Nikaya 119 discourse. Exactly the same subjects have been explained in the Kaya Gata Sati Sutta and in the Satipatthana Sutta. Kaya Gata Sati, contemplation of the body, exactly the same way is carbon copy from the Satipatthana Sutta Kaya Anupassana. Kaya Anupassana in the Satipatthana Sutta is exactly same in the Kaya Gata Sati Sutta. Only one thing is different. The place where the Buddha gave these two sermons are different. Satipatthana Sutta was given in the Kuru Kammasa Dhamma Nagara. Kammasa Dhamma Nama Nigamo Hoti. Nigamo is a very large village, not a small village. So very big, vast village is Nigama. Kammasa Dhamma Nama Nigamo Hoti. In the Kuru, in the country of Kuru, there are 16 different kingdoms in North India. Among the 16 kingdoms, one was Kuru. Kammasa Dhamma Nigama was in the kingdom of Kuru. Satipatthana Sutta gave in that village, but this Kaya Gata Sati Sutta was given when Buddha was living in the Jetavana monastery. That is the difference, otherwise exactly the same way is a blueprint of the mindfulness of the body and Kaya Gata Sati Sutta. Therefore, whatever we explain in both discourses. So it says, as usual, this Kaya Gata Sati means a part of meditation, part of mindfulness. Part of mindfulness is the body and feeling Vedana and Chittanupassana consciousness and mental objects. Dhammanupassana, mental objects. So, this Kayagata Sati Sutta is very important because Kaya is the body. Body is very important as human beings. We are born as human beings. Sometimes we use this body for spiritual development. Sometimes we use this body for, unfortunately, unskillful activities. So therefore, in the discourse it says, in the Kayagata Sati Sutta and in the mindfulness discourse, we become victim of Mara. If we are not aware about our spiritual development, using this body, if we don't take this opportunity as human beings, if we don't use this human body for developing insight, developing our spiritual development, enhancement, we become victim of Mara. Therefore, we should be very careful. We are given this wonderful opportunity as human beings, and we have sound minds. We can think properly, we can understand properly, and we are given this human existence. We can use for both aspects, means our worldly, as you are worldly people, for your well-being, your material well-being, and also spiritual well-being as well. It says, go into a forest. This discourse say, for the sattanam visuddhya, for the purification of being. For the purification means purification of the mind. So mind purification connected with overcoming our defilements. Lobha, dvesa, moha, etc. Or kama, chanda, etc. All these feelings, defilements are there. So how can we purify our mind? Even children also now know, in order to purify our mind, mindfulness practice is a direct technique. We can purify our mind. Sattanam visuddhya. Dukkha domanassanam attangamaya, to overcome our suffering. Dukkha. Meditation is very good. Practice of mindfulness is very helpful to overcome our suffering. Very, very important technique. How can we overcome our suffering? We can overcome by practicing meditation, insight meditation. It can be experienced. A lot of people, those who have some problems, they also do meditation to overcome their dukkha. Dukkha domanassanam attangamaya, jnanasa adhigamaya, to develop wisdom. Important wisdom is, in mindfulness practice, is seeing things as they truly are, yatha bhuta. Seeing things as they truly are, the wisdom, the part of meditation, understanding things as they are. So, dukkha domanassanam attangamaya jnanasa nibbanasa sachikiriyaya. in order to comprehend, in order to realize nirvana. Chattaro Satipatthana, the four foundation of mindfulness to be done. So the Kaya Anupassana is the first one. In the beginning it says, Aranyagatoa, go to a forest, jungle, go to a forest, and Rukamulagatawa, or root of a tree, Rukamulagatawa, Sunyagatawa, empty heart, or quiet area. They are the congenial for practice of mindfulness. As I know you are very interested in practicing meditation. Is a quiet area is good for practice. Sometimes we can hear some sounds when we sit for the meditation. Even any place, the expert person who is very very keen and who is a good experienced person can practice mindfulness even in a very busy area. These are the recommended places. So in Kaya Anupassana or Kayagata Sati, mainly breathing is the object of meditation. So among the 40 objects of meditation, Anapanasati or mindfulness of breathing is part of Kaya Anupassana. So you can understand breathing meditation or mindfulness of in and out breaths experiencing is part of Kaya Anupassana, not a part of Vedananu, Chittanu, Dhammanu. It's a part of Kaya Anupassana because the body experience breathing in and breath. But again, you can understand feeling is connected with Vedana Anupassana. So breathing there is a feeling as well. So therefore we can understand this subject, this mindfulness of body, although it is a Kaya Anupassana, the feeling also connected with Vedana Anupassana. Happy, the feeling, whatever it is. So therefore, the breathing exercise or breathing experience mainly connected with the body. So always when we notice, as it says, in breath and out breath, easily we can notice. And also long and short, different breaths. Meditator observe short and long breath in different ways. He always focused the mind on the present breath, not the former breath or the next breath. At the moment, what is keeping the mind in the present moment, non-judgmental awareness, and observe the present breath, whether it is a long or short breath, in or out breath. So this way, sometimes we take breaths experiencing whole body. Sabbakaya patisangvedi asasisami. Whole body we experience and breathe out, even that. Short in breath, short out breath, long in breath, long out breath, and full experiencing the full body We take in breath and we take out breath sometimes. All these different breaths, the meditator to be noticed, to be experienced quietly. So, the first part is of this Kayanupassana or Kayagata Sati is breathing exercise or breathing, mindfulness of breathing. So the mindfulness of breathing, what is the significance of mindfulness of breathing? You can notice, for instance, mind is connected with the breathing process closely. If you are peaceful, your breaths are very gentle. If you are angry, your breaths are very rough. You can notice that. If you are angry, your breaths are very rough. You take very long breaths and you breathe out very, very long way. And this way breaths, the in breath and out breaths represent your mind. When you are peaceful, mind is peaceful, then breaths are very gentle. Finally, we can notice in deep relaxation, we have only very subtle breath, because you are very peaceful. In meditation, we notice that. Sometimes we feel whether we breathe in or breathe out, very subtle. Such a deep relaxation you can experience. Therefore, breaths are the first part of the mindfulness of the body or the Kayanupassana in both these courses. Second part is Iriyapata. Iriyapata means 4 postures. You know, we have 4 postures. Walking and standing, sitting and lying down. Or sleeping, or standing, or sitting, or walking. These are the 4 postures. So meditator knows walking, I am walking. I am sitting. I am standing and I am lying down. These 4 postures to be aware. So the full body carefully scan everything. Breath we scan, we understand, and our postures of the body, 4 postures are aware. This is called Iriyapata. Iriyapata means postures, 4 postures to be comprehended. So the other part is deep. Then we go deeper and deeper. So abhikante, patikante, sampajanakari hoti. Alokite, vilokite, sampajanakari hoti. Pattachivara dharane, sampajanakari hoti. Asite pite sangati pattachivara dharane. Asite pite kaite saite sampajanakari hoti. Gate tite nisinne tutte jagarite tunne bhave sampajanakari hoti. This is the way it explained. When we walk forward, when we come back, we should be aware. I am walking, and alokite, vilokite, we look around, looking at there, looking at there, looking at there. We are aware about that. Sangat patta chivara dharani, the monk to be aware about when we wear the robes, the ropes and also taking the bowl. He is aware about that. He is willing to go to Pindapata. Sanghata Patta Chivara Dharani. So, Asite, Pite, Kaite, Saite, Sampajana. When we eat, when he drink, aware about that. Gate tite nisinne sutte jagarite. Gate tite nisinne, that means he is aware about the postures, standing or sitting or lying down. This is the way, and even to nibhave means if he is silent, if the meditator is silent, keeping silence, he knows that he is silent. And and also if he goes to if the meditator goes to the washroom, he is aware about that. That is another part. So sampajana kari hoti, aware about that. About his postures, about his everything, when he walks and when he look at all these things, aware about. And if he is stressed and his hands bending, stretching, aware about that. Walking steps, aware about that. That means whole life is with awareness. So therefore, there are four aspects of sampajana. Sattaka sampajanya, that is called sampajanya. Sattaka sampajanya, sapaya sampajanya, asammoha sampajanya, and amoha sampajanya. The fourfold clear comprehension is there about his life. That means sapaya, if the meditator walks out, he think about, is it suitable or not suitable, sapaya. If he talk with someone, aware about, is it suitable or not suitable. And sapaya sampajanya, sattaka sampajanya means the purpose. What is the purpose of my action? Suitability and purpose. If the meditator stand from his posture, sitting posture, he think is it suitable or not suitable? What is the purpose of the changing of my postures? So this will be very keen practice. Sattaka sampajanya, sapaya sampajanya, and gochara sampajanya. Gochara sampajanya means the meditator should know where the field is, where is meditation field. For instance, the meditator should know, I am meditating, I am practicing meditation within this area. If there are two people are talking with unnecessary, not suitable, unnecessary subject, the meditator should understand, I should not be going there, because it is not my field, it is outside the field. This way, the meditator should know what is his field, what is his field. And also, asammoha sampajanya means the meditator should know when he walks, when he practices walking meditation, there is no personality feelings. I am not working. There is no personality feeling. I, my, mine. Amoha means non-deluded. If I delude, I am walking, I am coming, I am drinking. But meditator doesn't feel I, doesn't feel me, doesn't feel mine. So there is no any personality feeling behind the process. Only just the walker, not the walker, but the walking only, like that way. Okay? So this is called sampajana, sampajanya. All these activities, he is mindful, and even when he look at outside, look at any area, he should be aware about that. Alokite vilokite. This is the part of the Kayanupassana. The third part is, the next part is actually repulsiveness of the body. Repulsiveness of the body. Asubha. Asubha bhavana. So the body, in different angles we can see. In different angles, if a person want to get makeup, he goes to a window, a mirror, and he make up his hair, make up his skin, his face, all these he make up. He or she, because he or she want to go to a party, or he want to be different ideas, you know. But meditator is not interested or making up. He is not interested facial beauty. He is not interested his physical beauty, because these are the maras, or mara means according to that, mara conquered our mind. So the meditator, he see repulsiveness of the body. Why meditator sees the repulsiveness of the body? He or she can overcome defilements. Kama raga. Kama raga means desire for sensual things. Desire for sensual things is a very, very forceful thoughts. Kama raga, sensual desire. So how can we overcome the sensual desire? Asubha bhavana. So asubha bhavana is connected with kayanupassana, connected with the body. So in that regard, in this part, repulsiveness of the body is connected with 32 parts of the body. Meditator is also meditator should be done reflection upon the 32 parts of the body. We know this part, Pilikul Bhavana. Pilikul Bhavana ati imasmin kaye kesa Loma, Naka, Danta. Head hair, body hair, nail, teeth, skin, flesh, bones, marrow, kidney, heart, liver, etc., phlegm, lungs, bowels, bile, etc., pus, blood, sweat, all these parts one by one taking, he meditate. Why we take one by one? Then if we take as a whole of our body, maybe we can't see, we can't understand the repulsiveness. For instance, if we see a hair in our food plate, we don't have a very happy feeling there. If we see a tooth in our teacup, or if we see a tooth in our food plate, we don't have that feelings. We have very different feelings. Likewise, we take part by part, then we can have a feeling of repulsiveness. Why these things actually? Because to get rid of our defilements, desire. We attack to our own desire, sensual desire especially. And how can we overcome our sensual desire? This is the way Asubha Bhavana or Pilikul Bhavana. Then we can control our desire. So the other parts are reflection of elements. So that is another part. The other part is reflection of elements. Elements means body is a compound of aggregates, is a compounds of elements. Once the Buddha asked monks, what should you know through your higher knowledge? What should you thoroughly know about to your higher knowledge? Then Buddha, he himself answered, you should know through your higher knowledge. Thoroughly you should know the 5 aggregates of the body. 5 aggregates: form, feeling, perception, Chaitasika, mental formation, and consciousness. These are the 5 aggregates. So the Buddha recommended you should know thoroughly through your higher knowledge about the 5 aggregates. So the body is the compound of 5 aggregates. In a subtle level, body is made with elements, we can analyze furthermore. What are these 4 elements? Earth elements, Patavi, earth elements. Earth element, that means solid part of the body. Earth element, or the bones in the body, earth element. Apo means water elements of the body, or the fluidity of the body. So the blood, saliva, and urine, etc., all these are fluidity, parts of the fluidity. Earth element, Patavi, Apo, Tejo. Tejo is fire elements. Fire element or heat elements. There is a temperature of the body. So we notice its temperature as well. So that is heat element or the tejo. Vayu is the air elements of the body. There is air in the body. When we rising and falling of our body, we notice in breaths and out breaths. We see the rising and falling of our body, our abdomen. That means air in the body. So this way, the earth, air elements also part of the body. What are these elements? Earth elements or patavi, the bones and etc. And patavi apo, the water elements, fluidity. And the other element, heat element. And the last element is air elements in the body. So body means living person, means the four elements are there. Patavi, apo, tejo, vayu. These four elements are there. If we die, when we die, there is no heat elements. The body part is there. And other elements maybe remain, but heat element is going left from the body. So therefore, part of the kaya anupassana or kaya gata sati is reflection of elements. Then the reflection of the body, the last part is 9 cemetery contemplation. 9 cemetery contemplation is when we die, after the death, not in nowadays, but in sometimes even today, not in here, but maybe in some areas in the world, the body people think my body after the death it to be given to the research work, or my body to please it put in the carnal ground, in the forest. The animals, let them to eat my body. I don't want to cremate my body. When I pass away, take my body and put in the forest or carnal ground to eat the animals. Kakehiva kajamana. Crows come and eat. Kulalehiva kajamana. Kuso, hawks. Gijehiva kajamana. Vultures, they come and they eat. Swanehiva kajamana. Birds. Singalova means foxes. And small creatures come then eat. All they are animals. Crows, jackals, vultures, and all the small creatures come and eat. So 9 cemetery contemplation is meditator is about what happened to our body after the death. And he can see 9 stages of the body. When he put in the cemetery in open air, then 9 parts. After 3 days, body become blue and split, and gradually all the parts going to disappear from the bones. So the skull is there. Skeleton is there. So a skeleton is scattered everywhere. There are the 9 parts. So the 9 parts of the body. This is called Navasivatikaya, 9 cemetery contemplation. We understand when we are living beings, when we think how we clean daily, how we perfume our body, how we comb our hair, how we dress our body, all these are not bad. Certainly you have to do that. We have to do that. We are living beings, we are social beings, we have to live good way, we have to purify. That's okay. But we don't see it as it is. But after the death, meditator can observe. I know in some places, in meditation centers, there is skeleton. There is a skeleton. Some meditators, they bring dead body to the meditation hall and they look at the body. For a few days they meditate. So some people have very strong desire, and they are kilesa, they are defilements. So they are the messengers of the Mara. Mara is evil one, come and dominate our mind. If we don't see the reality of the body, we have defilements, desire, sensual desire and greediness, and all these things arise in the mind. So how can we overcome our desire, sensual desire? Look at the body in the cemetery and have look. Then we can see these 9 cemetery contemplation, skeleton, and all these parts. So this is the Kayanupassana. You understand now, Kayanupassana. Kayanupassana, the breaths, observing breathing, and observing postures, going here and there, and observing, that is called Iryapata. And Sampajanya, when we get go forward and come back, and also looking around and wearing robes and taking the bowl and all these things, abhikanti, patikanti, sampajanakari hoti, alokite, vilokite, sampajanakari hoti, asite, pite, kaite, saite, when we sleep. And even when we go to the washroom, to be aware about that. So all the whole life is meditative life. Meditative life. The last 2 parts of the is clear comprehension and mindfulness, repassiveness of the body, and 9 cemetery contemplations. That is the Kayagata Sati, Kayanupassana in the discourse of mindfulness. So the discourse of mindfulness connected with 4 parts. Mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of feeling, mindfulness of consciousness, mindfulness of mental objects. Dhammanupassana. In this Kayagata Sati Sutta, mainly only mindfulness, the body part, kayagata sati, mindfulness of the body, kayanupassana. That is the difference between the Satipatthana Sutta and Kayagata Sati. On the place where the Buddha gave this sermon, two places. Satipatthana Sutta gave to the people in Kurus, and the other one was given to the monks in the Jetavana monastery when the monks in discussion in the Dhammsabha Mandapa. This is the way, Kayagata Sati. Why we need to develop kaya awareness of the body? Otherwise we become the victim of Mara. Mara conquers our mind. So when we are aware about this, our desire, we can control our desire and everything. That's the only discourse, okay? Thank you very much. Buddhism හැම දිනකට මුතු නිවන් සැප ලැබේවා කියලා ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරනවා. From 2 to 3, another discourse, another sermon, okay?
Okay, we are going to start. Namo tassa bhagavatu arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavatu arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavatu arahato samma sambuddhassa. Itti bhavo kinkaira chittam isusamahite jnanam hi vattamanam hi samma Dhammang vipassato. This is one of the stanzas from the Theri Gatha. Because as it is Ladies' Day, that means celebrating the establishment of a Bhikkhuni order. Then I thought of giving this sermon, dedicated to the sermon, all the nuns at the time of the Buddha. Because when we look at those Theri Gatha, you will find that very beautiful stories, and also it gives a lot of teachings of the Buddha. So let us read something on this topic. The meaning of that stanza is Itti bhavo kinkaira. What should be the woman's nature to do? Them those hearts are firmly set. Whoever move with growing knowledge onward the path. That means we cannot discriminate men and women, because whatever the achievement, if they have that qualities, if they attain it, that same attainment they receive, they get. So that is the simple meaning of that stanza. So the Theri Gatha is one coming on the Tripitaka. One book of that, Kuddaka Nikaya, one book is the Theri Gatha. In Theri Gatha, there are poems form it has made. And when a nun, Bhikkhuni, attain enlightenment or before enlightenment, they explain how they attain that status, and also how they came to the Dhamma, and also how they attain that enlightenment, explained in those that book. So that is why it called Theri Gatha. There is another book called Thera Gatha, that is for the monks who attain enlightenment, and this one is Theri Gatha. This is dedicated by those nuns whoever attain enlightenment. So I think in this day, I think that is fitting to say a few words about the nuns, because most of you are following the teachings of the Buddha. I want to show that, because we can do this. Because if they could do it, then why we can't do it? So that is what I want to say. So, from the poems of the enlightened nuns of the Buddha's time, that is Thera Gathas, the current followers of the Noble Eightfold Path can receive a great deal of instruction, help, and encouragement. These verses can assist us developing morality, concentration, and wisdom. The three sections of the path, Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. That is what we are practicing. So, with their aid, we will be able to work more effectively towards eliminating our mental defilements and towards finding lasting happiness and peace and happiness. In some respects, the inspiration from these poems may be stronger women than for men, since these are in fact women's voices that are speaking. And when the theme of the poem is the mother-child bond. This is bound to be the case. However, at a deeper level, the sex of the speaker is irrelevant. For the ultimate truth which they speak explain the universal principles of reality which are equally valid for men and for women. The verses of this nuns, Therigatha, if systematically examined, can help serious Buddhist meditators to understand many central aspects of the Dhamma. The background of the verses, including biographical information on the nun who uttered them, is provided by the ancient commentary on the Therigatha. We of the 21st century, who are seeking to attain liberation, will find ourselves deeply grateful to those fully awakened Buddhist nuns for their profound assistance in illuminating the Dhamma for us in their own distinctly personal ways. So I am going to talk about some of the nuns because how they attain enlightenment. So it gives some kind of ideas. What is this enlightenment is, when we can attain it. Some cases, they explain minor incidents spark enlightenment. Very small event can spark the enlightenment. Those are, you can find in that Therigatha. In some cases, the poem describes the circumstances which brought the woman into a Sangha or which caused her awakening. Both can inspire modern followers of the Buddha. Sometimes the most mundane event stimulates the ripe mind to see the truth perfectly. One of these cases is Bhikkhu Dhamma. Bhikkhu Dhamma once returned from her alms round. One day, she was exhausted from heat and exertion, because you know India is very hot and also she is getting old. She was so tired. Then she fell and she collapsed on the ground. Then the clear perception arose in her of the utter suffering inherent in the body, bringing about total relinquishment. Because when she fell down, then she understood the nature of the body, because she is getting old and old. Now there is no strength for her. Then she understood what is this impermanence of the body. She understood. Then she recited that this verse comes from there. Then she said, Pinda patang charitwana dandamolubba dubbala vedamanehi gattehi tatteva nipating chama diswa adinamang kaye attachittang vimuchame. She said, having wandered for alms, leaning on a stick, with trembling limbs, I fell to the ground in that very spot. Having seen danger in the body, she said, very spot, having seen danger in the body, then my mind was completely released. So that is one incident. It is a small event happened in her life. But at that time it was triggered to her the nature of the body, because that is the danger of the body she understood. If someone could gain awakening based on such an event, surely there are an infinite number of potentially enlightening experience available to all of us for contemplation. Systematic attention, that means yoniso manasikara, given to any subject will show up its impermanence, that is anicca, and unsatisfactoriness, dukkha, and cessation of nature, that is anatta, essence of nature, anicca. And so, encourage us to stop craving. However, unless we carefully apply our mind in vipassana meditation under the guidance of a competent teacher, it is unlikely that we will be able to utilize our daily encounters with these basic characteristics as means towards liberation. This is because the mind's all conditioning is based on ignorance. Our mind normally with ignorance. The very inability to see things as they really are, that is what called the ignorance. Only concentrated mindfulness of phenomena in meditation can enable us to correctly compound our everyday experience. Because such methodical culture of insight through vipassana meditation loosen the old mental restlessness by giving us direct experience of the impermanence of our mind and body. That means because we all face that type of situations about the body, but it has to be channeled. It has to be shown by someone because it has to get into our mind. It is through the vipassana meditation one can get into that state. So that is what happened to that Bhikkhu Dhamma, because although she lived a nun's life for many years, but the moment come to understand that realization, but it has to be channeled. When we have the practice of vipassana meditation, it will help you to understand or realize the true nature of the body. So, there are some other important nuns we see in the Therigatha. So how they enter the nuns order, that they enter in the Sangha after a child's death. So most of you can remember, I will discuss with that. Quite a number of women entered the Sangha after their small children had died. Grief is put to good use if it is made the motivation to develop the path leading to the cessation of suffering. One lady called the Ubbiri, she was greatly mourned the death of her infant daughter. That time the Buddha pointed out to her that right in the same carnal ground where she had left this baby's body, she had similarly parted with thousands of children to whom she had given birth in previous life. Because she had acquired strong merits in the past, this brief personalized discourse was enough to turn Ubbiri from a lamenting mother into an arahant on the spot. As she clearly saw the vastness of samsara, she was prepared to leave it behind. Her profound gratitude to the Buddha is described in some of the simple lines. So in this case, Ubbiri, she lost her child and she was crying Then lastly, she has to leave that dead body in the carnal ground. At that time, Buddha interfered and told her, "This is not the first time you have left this daughter. In previous lives, thousands of times you have left it." Buddha wanted to show her that this is not one case, because we are living in a samsara, because there are a lot of lives within us. We lived in previously, and also we had experience, we cried for many things in our previous life. This is only one occasion. So that is what Buddha showed her. Then she understood the vastness of the samsara. The samsara means getting birth and dying again and again and getting birth. So this is not one case. So it has continued for many years. So her lamentation is not a new thing. Then she understood the true nature of her life. This is the samsara, how it is going on. So we have met previously. We had mourn, we had sadnesses, and it continued. So to stop that, that's what Buddha wanted to show them. Then in that poem she said, "Truly he has pulled out my dart, hard to see, nesting in my heart. Which grief for my daughter. He has thrust away for me, overcome by grief. Today I have my dart plucked out. I am without hunger, without pain, quenched, everything quenched." So that is what she said. Because when something happened to us, it is like a dart inside our heart. So Buddha showed how to take it out, how to get rid of the pain for that woman. With the reducing of ignorance and craving, nothing remained but a pure mind. That is what happened when someone remove the craving. And inherently it is peaceful. Ubiri had a flexible, well-prepared mind, and so she understood. Through the Buddha's instruction, that source of all her suffering had been craving. After countless millions of lifetime spent rolling in samsara, Ubiri realized how her deep motherly attachment to her children had always caused her much anguish. For sons and daughters, like everything else, are subject to the law of impermanence, but they are having that attachment. We cannot make our loved ones live beyond the span set by their own karma. This was an insight so powerful for her that no object at all seemed worthy of interest any longer because of the potential pain permeating them all. So all tendency to cling was broken, never to appear. So that is what happened to Ubiri. Then she understood, because long journey in samsara, we had that pain, but we cannot expand our children's life or our lives. Then she understood the utter purity, the impermanence of a child's life and even oneself. So there is another story comes over, life story of Patachara. You have all heard about it. Before he came to the Dhamma, described in considerable detail in the commentary of the Therigatha, is even more dramatic. In Patachara's story, I think most of the Buddhists, they are familiar with that. Because that Patachara, she lost her entire family, her husband, 2 small children, parents and brothers in various accidents within a few days. She went insane from the sorrow. But the Buddha's compassion combined with Patachara's, because she had paramis, perfection from the past, enabled her to regain her right mind. When she came to the presence of the Buddha, Buddha taught her to understand how often before he had hopelessly exhausted herself grieving for the dead, she became extreme winner. In the Dhammapada, Buddha explained, has given that stanza. Buddha said, Nasanti putta tanaya napita napi bandava antake nadipannasa natti nyati sunat sutanata. There Buddha said, there are no sons for one's protection, neither father, no even kinsman, for one who is overcome by death. No protection is to be found among kinsmen. So although we have the family, we have children, but there is no protection. That is what Buddha wants to say. Because we can't protect them, and also they can't protect us. Because the death is the one which we all has to face. Then Buddha make her to understand about life. We know how people die. Because the last tsunami incident, some families, they lost entire family, leaving one behind. But they had the sadness, but they don't realize they don't attain enlightenment thinking about it. Why? Because they haven't fulfilled their paramis. They didn't have any perfection. They didn't have any previous practices. So they can't understand what is impermanence is, what is this suffering is, what is non-self factor is. So that is why Buddha said, Buddha said, Etang attavasang nyatva pandito sila sanguto nibbana gamanam maggang hippang eva visode. There Buddha said, realizing this fact, let the virtuous and wise person shift clear to way that lead to Nibbana. Because when we understand we can't have our children and others to protect us, then wise person, they try to attain the enlightenment, or they try to realize the Buddha's teachings. So that is Patachara's. Patachara's story is very dramatic. Then you can read it in the Theri Gatha. Most of our Buddhist people, they have read it. So Patachara attained Sotapanna. Then it is the first stage. Later, as she was one day pouring water to wash her feet and watching it trickle away. So that is how she attained enlightenment. As life does sooner or later for all beings, her mind became utterly free from clinging. Patachara, like Dhamma, had thoroughly developed seeds of understanding. So a very minor, mundane incident at just the right moment cleared her mind of very trace of ignorance. So that is what happened. Because when she is washing her feet, that water trickled away. At that time she was thinking about her life too. Then she realized, but the previous connection, whatever she had practiced, helped her to attain that enlightenment. That is the time she attained enlightenment. It was like previous incident. So a small thing, but it triggers the mind. So, many other women entered the Sangha in conditions similar to those Ubbiri and Patachara. A mother, the woman This thought over the death of child must have been very common in India, because the medical facilities are very rare those days. Then they have a lot of women, they are losing their children. So they had that grief. But Theri Patachara has given, she spoke to a group of 500 such grief-stricken mothers, expressing what she had so powerful learned from this similar experience herself. So she started teaching them how she experienced it and how to overcome it. For some individuals, intense suffering is needed to make the mind relinquish its misconceptions and desires. Patachara was one of them. Kisagotami is the second one. So you have heard about Kisagotami. It is a famous story among Buddhists too. Kisagotami was so unwilling to face the truth of her child's death that she carried the dead baby, around with hoping to find one who could give her medicine to cure him. The Buddha guided her into a realization of the omnipresence of death by sending her in a search of some mustard seed. This is a common ingredient in Indian kitchen. But the Buddha specified that these seeds must come from a household where no one had ever died. Kisagotami went looking for this medicine for her baby. But because of the prevalent joint family system in which 3 or more generations lives together under one roof, every house she went to had seen death. Gradually, as she wandered through the village, she realized that all who are born of must die. Her great paramis even enable her to understand impermanence so thoroughly that soon afterwards the Buddha confirmed her attainment of stream entry. So that is a beautiful story. You can remember Kisagotami's story when she was carrying a died baby. She wanted to get cured. She went to the Buddha, and Buddha asked to bring some mustard seeds from a family where they didn't have any death. As it says, because the Indian families, they are joint families. In every family, wherever she goes, everyone says there is someone passed away. So she couldn't find any. That time she realized, because this is a common thing. It is a common thing. We don't realize about death unless someone dies from us. When someone dies from us, passed away, at that time we feel the sadness and grief. Because yesterday I met some doctors, because they are working in a hospital, every day they see dead bodies and things, but they don't realize about death, because someone is very ill from their family. At that time their grief and sadness come to them, and they come and say, we didn't realize it. Because unless it comes to us, we don't realize it. So same way that she felt, the Kisagotami felt that it is not my child is subject to death. Everyone is subject to death. Then she realized the truth, what this life is. So she said, no village in that Therigatha, that poem it says, translation is, no village law is this, no city law, no law for this clan or for that alone. For the whole world, whole world, and for the gods too, this is the law, this is impermanence. It is to every being, everywhere you can find that impermanence. So Kisa Gautami therefore transcended the limit of a woman's personal grief to understand one of the basic characteristics of all existence. Kisa Gautami later attained arahantship. Some of the verses she spoke on the occasion give useful lesson to any person who attempt on the Noble Eightfold Path. That's why I said this is interesting to read that Therigatha. Then it says, resorting to noble friends, even a fool would be wise. Good men are to be resorted to. So the wisdom of those who resort to them increase. Resorting to good men, one would be released from all pains. One should know suffering, the cause of suffering, and the cessation, and the Eightfold Path. These are the Four Noble Truths. That was her poem. The company of wise, especially the guidance of a teacher, is an invaluable help in getting oneself established in the path. But the company of people not involved in the Dhamma will tend to be distracting. But those who are not trying to practice the Buddha's teaching will usually lead us in the worldly direction in which their own minds incline. Therefore, when we can, it is best to choose our friends from among meditators. That is very important thing. If we are in that subject together, then we can understand it. Otherwise, when we associate other people, they will take you away to their side. So that is why to be careful when you are associating with people. Then the Kisa Gautami, in her poems, she said talking about the Four Noble Truths. Then Kisa Gautami urges in the final line of her poem, meditators need to train their minds constantly to see the Four Noble Truths in all their result. This is wisdom, panya, remedy for the ignorance and delusion which are at the root of all suffering as shown in the formula of dependent origination. To develop wisdom, one has to contemplate these four truths over and over again. First, the Four Noble Truths. First, Noble Truth of suffering, that is dukkha, which include all forms of suffering, from severe agony to the persistent unsatisfactoriness and instability inherent in individual existence in all planes becoming. The second noble truth is the cause of suffering, that is craving, which drives the mind outwards after sense objects in a state of everlasting unrest. Third noble truth is of the cessation of suffering, nibbana, which is attained when the cause of suffering, ignorance and craving, having been utterly uprooted. And the fourth noble truth, the way of leading to the cessation of suffering, the Four Noble Eightfold Path discovered and taught by the Buddha, consisting of the diligent practice of morality, sila, concentration, samadhi, and wisdom, panya. So in that sermon, that poems, she explained about it. Buddhist meditators must train themselves to know these truths as deeply as they can be seen them in every aspect of existence. We follow the mundane level of the Noble Eightfold Path to reach the supramundane path, which is the attainment of extremity. Then the constituent of the path, morality, concentration and wisdom are cultured to the highest degree, and the end of suffering, Nibbana, is realized. So that is explaining a little bit about the Four Noble Truths. And also we can find some stories, some nuns, they spend long time to understand or realize the Dhamma, to attain enlightenment. In that Teri Gatha, there are some bhikkhunis. Some bhikkhunis, they attain very easily, but some, they have to spend long time to attain that enlightenment. I think it says that it could be due to their paramis, or what is called the perfections, whatever they have not completed. That's why it took a long time some people to attain enlightenment. Among them, what one called the Chitta, the young lady, she ordained in young age. She is from hometown of Rajagaha, and he spent her whole life as a nun, striving for enlightenment. She finally attained her goal only as a weak old woman, as she laboriously climbed up the landmark of Walcha Peak, that is called the Gijjagut Pabbata. When he had done so, she said, Sanghātiṃ nikkapittvāna pattanca nikkujjya sele kam bhesi mattānaṃ tamo kandang padāliya. She said, having thrown down my outer robe and having turned my begging bowl upside down, I dropped myself against a rock, having torn asunder the mass of darkness or ignorance. So that is the time she got her attainment. Although she spent for many years, that Chitta spent as a nun for many years, she couldn't attain. But when once she fell down while climbing on the Gijjakuta, then she attained enlightenment. Another bhikkhuni who took years to reach enlightenment, that is she called the Mitta Kali. She took robes after hearing the Satipatthana Sutta. In her lion's robe, she describes the errors that caused her 7 years to gain Nibbana. Her poem can be instructive to other meditators, both within and outside the Sangha. She said, in Pali it says, Saddhāya pabba jittvāna agarasmānagariyam vicharinghang tena labha satkaruska riñjitva paramangattang hīnamattang asevihang kilesānaṁ vasangatva sāmaññattang nabujjham. It says, having gone forth in faith from the house to the household state, I wandered here and there, greedy for gain and honor. Having missed the highest goal, I pursued the lowest goal. Having gone under the mastery of the defilements, I did not know the goal of the ascetics state. So that is the mistake she has done. Although she became a nun with good faith, but afterwards that her mind was diluted, directed to something else. She was looking to gain and honor. So she missed out all those years for her attainment, because afterwards she understood her mistake, what she has done. Because the monkhood or bhikkhunihood is not for the gain or honor. It is to attain one's own salvation. If someone is looking for gain and honor, so that time his main idea of becoming a monk will fade away. He won't be doing that, his duty. So that is what it happens to that lady. So it is apply to all of us, even for the monks. Today, even it applies for all of us. Because if we follow that path, it will take long time to attain enlightenment. So in one of the sermons, in Middle Length sermons, Buddha explained, the Buddha point out that his teaching has only one aim. What is that aim? Freedom from suffering. Buddha didn't talk many things. He wanted to say one thing, it is to be free from suffering. An incorrect approach that seeks to misuse the Dhamma will lead to increased suffering, just as grasping a neck by the body or tail will result in one's being bitten. The same venomous snake, if grabbed with the help of a forked stick by the neck just behind its head, will surely lead up its poison for the medicinal use. The Buddha declared that similarly, only those who wisely examine the purpose of this teaching will be able to gain insight and experience their purpose, the elimination of the cause of suffering. So anybody wants to eliminate suffering, then he has to use properly the Dhamma, Buddha's teaching. So when Mittakali perceived that old age and death were rapidly approaching, she finally came to realize the urgency of the task after wasting years in the pursuit of gain and honor. Since we can never be sure how much longer we will live, it is risky to put off medication. It is put off meditation. We have come into contact with the Dhamma under conditions helpful to follow in the Buddha's goal. Such conditions as youth and human birth will come to an end, either gradually or shortly. So we can never be certain that the conditions to practice the Dhamma will remain idle. Mittakali took years to understand that with advancing age, firmness of mind and bodily ailments were making the job of purification ever more difficult. But once she did realize this, she was able to achieve the goal. The stay in this verse of hers may help us to avoid wasting precise times. She said, I felt a sense of urgency as I was seated in my little kuti, the cell, thinking, I have entered upon the wrong road. I have come under the mastery of craving. My life is short. Old and sickness are destroying it. There is no time for me to be careless before this body is broken. Looking at the arising and passing away of the elements of existence as they really are, I stood up with my mind completely released. The Buddha's teaching has been done. So that is what that poems she said. She understood the mistake she has done, spending a lot of time for any other things, but she realized it was wasted time. So then she realized the arising and passing away of the elements. So then she released from all suffering. By observing the rise and fall at every instant of body, feeling, perception, mental formation and consciousness, that is called the Panchakanda, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. Mittakali's mind was freed from misconceptions of any lasting I or self. After those 7 long years of being trapped in the net of desires, she saw through her foolish and dangerous interest in mundane matters. She was then able to see the elements of aggregates as they really are, utterly transient. Those are anicca. Hence, incapable of providing any satisfaction, working automatically without any lasting core. That is anatta. All her worldly involvements dropped away as she attained arahantship and thereafter passed beyond all sorrow and suffering. So that is explained in that teaching. So I think you understand that the teachings of the Mitta Kali. Then there is another nun we call. Her name is Punna. Perhaps the most moving story of nuns who had to undergo long struggle from the time she first ordained until she became fully enlightened is that of Punna. Under 6 earlier Buddhas, in the vast eons period to the Buddha's Gautama's dispensation, Punna was a bhikkhuni, perfect in virtue and learning. Then in the 3 Pitakas, she became very learned in the norm and the teacher of it. But because of her tendency to pride, every time she is pride, she was unable to root out the defilements. Even at the time of the Buddha Gautama, she had to work out some bad karma and so was born as a slave. Hearing one of the Buddha's discourse, she became a stream enter. After she helped her master clear his wrong view, in gratitude he freed her and she was ordained. After so many a lifetime of striving, the paramis she had built up as a nun under previous Buddha ripened. Pride of conceit, always one of the last defilement to go, finally dissolve and attain arahantship. So this Punna's story is beautiful because she was a monk for previous life too, but she had a very bad quality too. That is a pride, because she was so proud of her understanding that proud made herself to be a slave in a family later on. When afterwards listening to the Buddha, then the pride has gone, because that was the last thing which one can remove. That removed, then she attained. Then her master released her, and also she could enter the order and attain arahantship. So that's another one. So this is another thing is to understand the danger of worldly desires. Large number of poems by the nuns emphasize the danger of worldly desires. A bhikkhuni named Sumedha shaved off her hair herself to force her parents to cancel her proposed marriage and permit her to enter the Sangha. So that is, she became herself. She shaved her hair because somebody is coming to see her to get married. But then afterwards she entered the order, but before she left house, Sumedha convinced her whole family the validity of Buddha's message. To her fiancé, one of the kings, she explained the uselessness of sense desires and the greediness of the senses. In that beautiful stanza it says, even if the rain god rain all the 7 kinds of gems until earth and heaven were full, still senses would crave and men die unsatisfied. So that is what. whatever the things you have, you cannot be satisfied. That was the message, simple message. Because whatever the wealth, whatever the things you get, but senses are the senses, that is craving for senses, it won't die because it is there. Because they die unsatisfied. So no matter how large quantity of worldly goods we may have, if the mind has not gained insight, craving will occur. If ignorance has not been uprooted, desire will seek more and more different objects, always hoping for lasting satisfaction. Durable happiness is impossible in the mundane sphere because all sense objects change and decay every moment, as does the mind itself. This continuous state of underlying dissatisfaction, craving, looking for gratification, is one of the many forms of present suffering. In addition, desire itself generates the karmic energy which drives life towards rebirth for it to continue its efforts in finding fulfillment. If desire is present in the mind at the moment of death, rebirth has to follow. So that is what always there, because that desires always gives us some kind of energy. That energy will produce to continue our life. After speaking the above poems, Sumedha gave a lengthy discourse to the whole assembly of her palace on the great value of human birth in the infinity of samsara. She said, life in this world is precise because it provides a very rare opportunity for learning the way to put an end to rebirth and suffering, for putting into practice the teachings of the Buddha. So that is the advantage having a life, being born as humans, because we can put it off, and also it will give us the chance to practice. At least if we practice, so it will be a parami for our next life too, if we cannot attain enlightenment this time. So that is very much needed for us. We are not sure that whether we can attain enlightenment this life, but at least we can be happy, thinking that we have practiced, that parami is there. We have that practices, we have the perfections in our life. So it will help us. Then she said in that Therigatha, she said, when undying Nibbana exists, what do you want with sensual pleasures which are burning fevers? For all delights in sensual pleasures are on fire, burning and boiling. So that is what she said. All sensual pleasures are like that. It is burning. Maybe there may be an enjoyment, but there is no guarantee on it. And also there is no end of it. So that is what it says. When craving momentarily gains its aim, mind's enjoyment of the sense objects bring it to the feverish state of excitement and activity. Sumedha urges her family to look beyond such unsettling, binding pleasures and to heed the words of the awakened one, which show the way beyond all desire to utter peace. She urges them to keep in mind their long-term benefit and not get caught up in the fragile moment. So, there are some other stories I have collected, but there is no time for to go through all of these things, but those are very interesting events, although it is recited by nuns, but it can be applied to all of us. Then, and also another bhikkhuni called Subha, also she explained about dangers of mundane wishes. And also there is another danger, another things, another aspect ladies always face, that should be talk a little bit of it, attachment to beauty. So I think I should say a few words on it, because that is most of ladies are here. So the ancient time as well as at present, women are all stations of life. All stations of life have used various means to enhance their beauty and to hold the signs of advancing age. So everybody wanted to hide it. This, however, is just a useless attempt to prevent that the body is not growing old, to keep it from showing outwardly that it is actually falling apart. But if instead of creams and lotion, wisdom is applied to the aging process, it can deepen our understanding of the impermanence of all levels. So because all things we cannot hide, whatever we try to do it come off. So when we have wisdom, then we don't care about our age, our appearance. So the very beautiful story connected with Ambapali, I think ladies maybe know those stories, Ambapali, that she was a wealthy and beautiful courtesan during the time of the Buddha. Before she heard the Buddha preach, her main concern had been so cultivated and maintained renowned beauty. With the Buddha's guidance, she was able to face the inevitability of aging and the loss of her beauty, and to contemplate the suffering of old age. Her verses can be also stimulate our own understanding. So this will help you to understand about it. But she said, my eyes were shining, very brilliant like jewels, very black and long, overwhelmed by old age. Now, they do not look beautiful. No otherwise is the utterance of the speaker of truth. Then she said again, formerly my hands looked beautiful, possessing delicate signet rings decorated with gold. Because of old age, they are like onions and radishes. No otherwise is the utterance of the speaker of the truth. Then formerly my body looked beautiful, like a well-polished sheet of gold. Now it is covered with very fine wrinkles. No otherwise is the utterance of the speaker of the truth. Then that is what, such was this body. It is decrepit, the abode of many pains, and old house with the plaster fallen off. Not otherwise is the utterance of the speaker of the truth. She is saying about the body. So these are all subject of us, because it is not coming from outside. Those are the things which we feel. So Ambapali showed that. And also another lady you can remember, Kema. Kema was a queen of Bimbisara, but she was so proud of her beauty. She didn't come to see, she doesn't want to come to see the Buddha, because Buddha talked about the impermanence and the suffering and things. She didn't want to listen. But she was she had connection with the Dhamma. But this time she couldn't come. But lastly she came. When she came to the Buddha's place, Buddha made a very beautiful lady fanning to the Buddha. Then Queen came and she saw the Buddha, and her attraction went to that lady, beautiful lady. Then the Buddha made that body to deteriorate, to reduce her age, means the getting old. That she slowly got old and fell down, and only the bones were remain over there. It was Buddha, through mind, his made. But after seeing that, Kema, the Kema was so understanding. Then she thought, she is beautiful than me. Now what happened to her? This is the things will happen to me too. Then she realized, my body is not permanent. It has potential to go away as that lady. So then she also left it. And she understood the truth and she attained enlightenment. Then afterwards, she was ordained, because she was the first lady. We can see that who attained enlightenment, not being a monk, not being a nun. So then she was ordained later. And she became one of the great disciples of the Buddha. And also there are some other events also, but as time out, then I am going to conclude this one. Then lastly, I want to say that stanza, I said that Ittibhavo king kaira chittam visusamahite jnanam vivattamanam mi samma dhamma vipassato. That is the one nun called the Sama. The Mara came to her and challenged her about the nature of women. Then at that time, Sama showed the Mara that the capacity to gain relinquish the insight for liberation need not to be hindered by woman's nature. So Soma's encounter with Mara in the Therigatha Prabhupada is explained in her verses from the Sanghamitta Nikaya, where she verbally asks him, Ittibhavo king kaira chittam visusamahite jnanam vivattamanam mi samma dhammam vipassato. In that stanza it says, she challenged Mara, what should be women's nature to them whose hearts are firmly set, whoever move with growing knowledge onward to the path. Because there is no discrimination. There is no way that being a woman not to have the teachings of the Buddha. When you purified your mind, you can attain the same state. If and guidance, they can help us present day Buddhists to practice vipassana meditation and to gain insight into suffering and its causes. Then we too will be able to give up all craving by developing wisdom. We can use the messages of the theories to assist in putting an end to our suffering. Grateful to their assistance, may we all follow the footsteps of these great nuns, true daughters of the Buddha. May our minds be perfect in wisdom, perfectly pure and utterly free from all possibility of future suffering. May you understand the teaching of the Buddha. May we all attain the bliss of Nibbana one day.
There'll be a short tea break now till the next talk at 3:20.
So you told them all this tea? Oh, cool, cool.
Speaker. Now what don't I